All right, all right, all right. All right, guys, welcome back to Cryptid Warfare and Conspiracies. We're
What's
working on
going
a
on,
title that's
guys?
going to sound way cooler. Uh,
Yeah, not only
and
that, we've been tapping in a lot of conspiracies, so we figured we'd change it. Yeah, yeah, guys, I'm a little under the weather, as you can tell. Almost sound like Barry Manilow.
Let's get it on. Oh, is that
Let's
another one?
get it on.
Cryptid Warfare. Anyway,
Anyways,
yeah, today
guys, yeah, go ahead, go
Right,
ahead.
go on.
It's
I get excited.
like,
So that's our native Sasquatch call, and it works every time. But I wouldn't recommend doing it alone.
all right, guys, we got an awesome guest today. He's one of my best friends in Zooks. We've known this guy for over 7 years now. We've been on a lot of cryptid hunts with this guy. No other guy I trust my life with. He's my battle buddy. He's my brother. Uh, you want us to use your whole name or just your alias? Huh, Brian?
Whatever you feel like.
All right, all right, all right, all right, all right. We'll call him Brian Swole. That's what he is. He's swole like he came out of the gym. All
That's
right,
true.
Brian.
So if whenever we talk about like the mountains or just the crazy
Or
view,
smoke or
they're
wood.
talking about his bicep. Yeah, Mr. Swole.
Mr. Swole. All right, Brian. Man, let's go ahead and get into it, man. Yeah, man. Just want to say thanks for being on our podcast, brother. It's been a long time
No, I
coming.
appreciate you having me.
Been a long time coming, bro.
Hey, it's been back there and it's time to let people know, I'm sure anybody that knows Murfreesboro has been to the battlefield. Um Heard stories about the battlefield. Maybe even went on a little adventure themselves. Maybe they seen something, thought they heard something. Um but this is my experience. I'm a skeptic about anything unless I witness it firsthand. You know, I don't believe anything until I see it for myself. And I got the opportunity to go with some ghost hunters, and I jumped on it. Um, I was, I think I was about 18, 17, maybe late 17, early 18. It was in the fall, and I'd probably say around 11:30. I met my sister and five people. She was really active with this ghost hunting team at the time, so I met them out there. Uh, they had their equipment, their cameras, their I don't even know all the stuff that they use. They had electromagnetic stuff and batteries, and I don't even know, man. I thought it was stupid. I'm like, yeah, okay. It's you see the stories, you hear the stories, see the movies, things like that. That's all it was to me. Um, so they kind of gave me a little briefing, a little rundown. This is what we're gonna do. This is how we're gonna get in there. Just FYI, if you have anything that is battery powered, it's probably not going to work when we get out there and things really get going. Yeah, okay, whatever. Um, so we take off. We kind of had to hike through the woods and sneak into the area because you're not supposed to be out there, after dark. And I'd probably say probably literally no more than, man, 2 minutes of being on the trail inside of there, um is when I really started to question, because my phone, which was fully charged, was fully dead.
Kind of like me on the inside sometimes.
You're stupid.
Actually, and backtrack because I too I just want to add really quickly, but yeah, I'd probably been around 20 the first time I heard about it. You know, for those of you y'all who are listening and not watching the video, I mean, Brian and I, we're about the same age. I might be a year older. It's the only thing I can brag to him about. So, but anyway, yeah, like the battlefield now, they actually have like an area you can drive through, and I think they have trails and stuff. Back then, I think it was just a big field because this was 2008, 2008 or something. I think when I went, and now 2023.
Yeah, I think it was. I think this was 2004 or 2003. Whenever I went out
Oh
there,
wow, yeah.
they had the trail that you could drive on, but it was the minimal trail. It was just the one drive trail, which made basically like a horseshoe. They added on so many different places you could drive. So you can only drive a little bit. Everything else was just walking trails.
Hmm.
And this is where we started off, was down one of the trails that you drive on, because we were going back to what was called the slaughter pen.
Mm.
I don't know if you've ever been back by the
Where
slaughter.
Yeah, I did. And
where
for those that
exactly is
aren't
that?
local to
Where
this
is that?
area, yeah, explain it in the
Uh,
history that you know of that area.
it's right off of Thompson Lane, right across from New Vision.
Okay.
That's where it's at. Um,
And for those of you listening, those are like really busy, pretty big roads here in
yeah,
Murfreesboro.
four lane road. So you had this section, of course, because Murfreesboro, all of Murfreesboro was basically a battlefield. The Battle of Stones River. So that's where Stones River that runs through comes from. It's from the Battle of Stones River back in the that time.
What was that river? The one that was, I know one of them. It was there was so much blood and carnage that the river was red. Like I mean, it was crazy.
I want to say yes, but don't quote me.
Because I remember learning that, like I didn't know this stuff, guys, until I actually went to school. And then I did an essay from a history class based on the Stones River. Oh, the
Mhm.
the fight and whatnot. And it was wild because on Christmas Eve they all put their arms down and they actually were hanging out with each other. Like, and then it's crazy. The next day everything picked back up and they were enemies again. But it was so wild. Something about that. But yeah, there was so much blood and carnage. The river ran red.
Yep.
I mean, that's scary. But it just shows you like that like it left an imprint in history, and who knows if it's repeating there with these ghosts and
It
stuff.
is.
But
It
sorry,
is.
go on.
That's no. You're good, Zook. You're good. Yeah. That's the thing with from what I've talked to different ghost hunters and things like that, of that uh, the spirits that die in a traumatic way relive that over and over and over and over every single day. So wherever they perished at, that's where they're stuck at. Um, which is where these guys were. So we're making our way down the drive trail. We haven't got to the walking trail yet. And we're just walking down the drive trail. So I noticed my phone, which was completely charged as soon as we got there, was now completely dead, would not power on at all. And I was like, okay, coincidence, all right. And I would probably say the temperature, it was just beginning to get fall. So it was still at nighttime. You're still talking probably 67 degrees, 68 degrees out.
Oh yeah, definitely. Yeah, definitely still
You know,
comfortable outside.
t-shirt weather, comfortable t-shirt
Mm.
weather, no chill.
Yeah.
Nice. Well, as we progressed into there, the temperature, I would probably say, dropped every bit of 20 degrees.
Dang. That's quite the
Like, to
drop.
the point I was like, I remember I wish I would have brought a jacket.
Oh, that's a sucky feeling
Like,
too. I hate that.
chilly. Um, so that kind of made my hair stand up a little bit, just how cold it got. My phone was dead. And well, I'm like, okay, well, let's put two and two together. I got a crappy battery, it's chilly out, my phone died. Not a big deal.
That's kind of funny how I always try to rationate things, like, oh, it was the wind, or oh, that was just a twig
Oh
breaking,
yeah.
a thing falling from the tree, or, we always try to simplify it, but
Mm-hmm.
sometimes it's not that simple.
That's No, it's not. And you'll realize that as my story continues. There's even a second part to this story as well.
Ooh.
So we can't. Yes, I went back years later with somebody else. So that'll be the second part. That's even the more freakier part.
Yes, let's do it.
So so as we're walking, I'm really not paying much attention to the other crew that's with me. You know, they kind of told me, look, don't think, don't, just walk and just open mind, open ears, open eyes, just walk and go. Um so I kind of hear them talking about different things, and I'm walking and I'm hearing off to my left twigs breaking. Like somebody's walking next to me. And I'm
Someone's
like,
kind of like paralleling you, right?
yeah, yeah, like directly to my left. Like as I continue, it continues. And I'm like, uh, deer, squirrel, who knows? Wait, something. Um,
Homeless guy.
yeah, you're in Murfreesboro. There's no telling who it is.
Ex-girlfriend, yeah.
She can stay out there.
But then again, you'll probably see like dozens of they're all around us.
Abort. So along with that, I started to hear faint moaning sounds. Um, and then along with that, you would hear cannons, like legitimate
Oh,
cannon fire, but it was very, very faint, like way off in the distance.
dude. Like,
So
did they have those fake cannons there at the time? Or like
yes,
prop?
yeah,
Okay.
yeah, the prop cannons, yeah, no, those are
Dude.
still there. Yeah,
Wow.
those are still there. So uh that's moaning cannon shots. When I say moaning, I mean it's more like like a I've been shot moan,
Oh.
like just a real blood curdling deep, just a type of moan.
No
So
thanks.
so this is really starting to spark my interest. So we make it back to the slaughter pen. um as soon as we get to the slaughter pen, right at the tree line, I noticed about 15 foot up in the air, I noticed a red light. Like what I compared it to was the red light on a headlamp. That's what it looked like.
You say about 15 foot up?
Yeah,
Yeah.
about
Wow.
15, 20 foot up in the tree line, like up in the trees.
How far away do you what was it, really close?
I'd probably say probably about from here to the fence line, so maybe about 75, 100 foot.
Wow.
About 100 foot.
Okay, that's pretty close.
And it wasn't a really distorted broken light. Like it was like you could see a round light.
Hmm.
And my first thought was, oh, I'm seeing the red light through the trees.
Mm-hmm.
So I took a couple steps, and right as I got to right on the tree line, it turned white and it shot down to the ground, probably 3 or 4 feet off the ground. So I'm like,
That's crazy, dude.
that's not supposed to do that. I backed away. As soon as I backed away, it went red. It went back up again. And at that point in time, my sister ended up collapsing to her knees and started chanting something in a totally different language.
Oh. Do you happen to
No,
I know it was a long time ago. I'm like, man.
no idea what she was saying. No idea what language it was. It was some foreign language.
Did you think it was like an Indian kind of Native American?
Or was it so like babbling or mumbling or
It wasn't even mumbling, because it was plain as day.
hmm.
Like it was the pronunciation on it was on point, but it was a totally different language.
I have heard of like languages where they're jumbled, like they're very clear and distinct, like their enunciations and pronunciations of things. Um, and it's weird because they'll have voice inflections, which it'll talk like this and it'll go down, then it'll go back up like this, but it'll be like they'll do it fast or
Yeah,
so rapid, and it's freaky.
that's
Like
that's that's exactly how it was.
That's a trip.
So I looked at the dude, and I was like, "Yo, grab her, let's go." I'm like, I'm done with this. I've experienced enough. I ain't seen nothing, but I've seen some questionable things. This going on with my sister. I know my sister, and she does not know whatever the heck language that was. So, let's scoot.
Yeah,
Let's
yeah,
go.
we need to get out of there ASAP. Yeah.
So we picked her up, arm over, and we started going. So we're walking out, and as we are
Hey,
leaving,
real quick, Brian, how deep in the woods were you guys? Like in that area? Like
we were
how
not at
far
all.
off were you guys in?
Like, we didn't go into the woods at all.
Oh wow.
So
damn.
we just walked down the driving trail, and then you walked down the dirt path, which was just a pasture. It was just a
Yeah.
pasture. But the driving path to the tree line entrance of the slaughter pen was probably about 400 foot.
Oh, okay, ain't that far.
So you walk through about 400 foot of pasture just to get to the tree line. From the tree line to the actual slaughter pen inside of the woods is probably, I'd say, probably about another 250 foot. I'll explain more of that when we get to the second part. Um, so me and this guy have her, and we're walking out of there. And next thing I know, I got sick to my stomach. Just I got this nauseous feeling in my stomach. All the hair stood up on the back of my neck, and I just like I can't even explain the feeling. But I felt warm breathing on the back of my neck, like hot, warm breathing. I then heard a horse's,
Okay, yeah.
and I turned over my left shoulder, and I seen this white apparition sitting on top of this horse walking
Oh,
directly behind me.
That's a trip.
Um I mean, and
wow.
it was not a normal, it wasn't like a normal sized man on a normal sized horse. It was like oversized.
Yeah, it was like a Clydesdale or bigger. Yeah.
Yes. I mean, this thing was massive. And I kind of stood there for a second, and I'm looking over and I'm looking at this dude, and I'm like, "Dude, do you see this?" And he was like, "Keep walking, keep walking."
He's telling you just
And I
don't
said,
just keep
"Nope."
going, bro.
And I let go of my sister, and I took off like a child after cake.
That's funny.
Boy, I was out of there.
You're on your own,
Marathon
guys.
runner. Gone. It's all that it took, man. You know, I've never I've never experienced anything like that firsthand.
Did you
I've
say you felt it or you just heard
No,
it?
I felt it.
Oh my gosh, man.
Like the warm
Wow.
breathing of the horse right on the back of my neck.
Yeah.
Like that little horse, Winnie.
That little
Uh,
horse Winnie.
I think that's what it's called. Like a horse whinnies when he goes. Not weenie, guys, not weenie. Um,
I mean,
wow.
there's no denying it at all, I know what I seen. It wasn't something off in the distance, like, my eyes playing tricks on me. Is that a cloud mixed with a light from the moon? That could be, it might look like a horse, or it might, no, like, this thing was 3 feet behind me. I felt the breathing on the back of my neck. I heard the horse. I physically seen the horse's head as I look back like this, with the guy sitting on top of it, big round brim hat. I mean,
Hmm.
it was legitimately a Civil War soldier on a horse.
That's crazy.
110%.
Now, could you tell if it was if it was the north or the south.
Mhm. It was all white,
Gotcha.
so I mean, I
That's
can
like
make out.
I'm looking at like my living room right now, and I'm looking at a Clydesdale. But you're saying that this thing was bigger than David. That would fly.
Yeah, I thought
I'm the
Clydesdale.
same
I
way.
don't know. I thought they were like the
I would have
biggest,
just cut out,
but
bro.
oh,
It was the freakiest experience at that time.
well, too. I think that I mean it's one thing if you see it, but there were. Did your sister see it?
No, she was actually, I don't want to say unconscious, but she was
She was
out
kind
of
of,
it.
yeah, she was kind of passed out
So I
because you
mean, and
said
then there
she
was
was
another witness.
talking
And
into
then
those
it
tongue
was
things.
the
And
dude who was,
that dude was telling you, hey, just ignore it, just keep going.
yeah, yeah.
And how much experience did he have in like ghost hunting and stuff?
I think the whole crew all together, I think they've been together for like 10 or 15 years
Oh gosh,
Yeah,
so
so
they
they
knew what
doing
they
got
were
some
talking
miles
about.
underneath.
doing paranormal hunting and
Oh
stuff.
yeah,
So I wonder what it is about the horror, or maybe it's just the area.
It's an area. It's it's
Dang, now I'm curious why they didn't want you to look.
it's haunted. It's haunted ground. It really is.
probably why, because just cut out.
Yeah,
Nobody
and
knows.
like, the slaughter pen was one of the bloodiest battles, and that specific area too. So there's a lot of bloodshed all around here and in that area. So it's very rich in it, and I'm now a firm believer that if you go digging, you're gonna find something.
That's a fact, dude. Usually people don't know what they're gonna get into.
Nope.
Yeah, I have a lot of friends. Well, I don't say a lot, but I know a lot of coworkers, and they haven't really seen anything like this or experienced it. And I'm like, well, once you do, like it will change your life. You will never be the same. And sometimes that stuff can come back to you when you least expect it. Not so much physically, but mentally. Like if you're alone in the dark or something, and man, it can screw with you.
It
And
does.
they're like, but I really, really want to see it. I'm like, you really, really don't. But it always just depends. I mean, sometimes for some, seeing is believing. But I'm like, there were so many stories, especially all throughout history, and I think what's the other Pittsburgh, Gettysburg. Anyway,
Mhm.
where all these
Yeah,
big
you're right. It's
battles happen.
Gettysburg, man.
Like
Pittsburgh's
there's
good football team.
like, and that's a place like that. That's I would love to go there one day. I mean, there have been so many documented things, but I want to go there for the history, not so much to look up these because dude, this stuff can follow you, and
Yes.
that's what I have warned some of
Definitely.
my friends. Which I know some like if you guys want to if you want to see it, then go do it. But like just be incredibly careful. Mm.
Do it smart. Do it cautiously.
Know when to stop or whatever.
Yeah, because like Zug said, these these things have the ability to attach to you and follow you. Um, and it's not pretty. I can say that now. Different people I've talked to, different things I've experienced things like that. They really do find something to latch onto you, and then you bring that home, and it transfers, and it's very bad. So if you just, I mean, if you play with fire, you're gonna get burned. That's all there is to it.
Yeah, that's a fact, dude. That's where you get charged objects. You get
I was literally thinking about
poltergeist.
that, and you
Yeah,
said it.
charged objects, poltergeist. Yeah, man. They basically
Yep.
claim territory, and you're it.
And how would you explain a charged object to somebody who wouldn't know what it is? If it was like a new listener or somebody just into
Uh,
this.
basically, a charged object is like a demon or an entity. Basically, attaches itself to an object. The object could be a house. The
Hmm.
object can be a person. That's where you get possession. The object could be, like let's say like you go to a haunted house or something. You're investigating. All of a sudden, you don't pray over yourself after you leave. That thing attaches you. Or if you take something from a certain area, like a stone or anything like that, and you can bring that back into your house, and that spirit can have territory over whatever you
And
got,
guys,
like that
just
stone, and you can bring it in your house. Or it could be like example like the Ouija board. like
Oh
witches and
yeah,
stuff back in the
the
day,
wage
like
eye.
Patel. They prayed over black magic over these Ouija boards or books or crystals. They can be going on and on and on and on. And the main guy who talks about that is John Ramirez. He talks a lot about those charged objects because he was a Satanist. That was his job, and that's what he used to do. And yeah, so that's basically the nuts and
Well,
bolts of
what's
it.
interesting too, because a lot of people, many years ago, it was like over 10 years ago. So this was after they had all these paved roads and everything up there. Me and some buddies, we go out there and cycle because it was so awesome to cycle those roads late at night. And mysteriously, like there would be this guy always walking this dog there late at night, and I had a feeling. I'm like, I feel like he might be a patrol or something. But at first, I thought he was a ghost, and I'm like, no, because my other buddy saw him, and he just wore modern clothes. Um, but no, as soon as we were going to actually do a shortcut and go off the trail, um, then we heard like the dog barking and the guy hollering at us in a professional way, not like, "Hey, you crazy kids!" Blah, blah, blah. Because he said he has to go there and patrol the park because people they'll break in, they'll dig up sites and stuff to find all these cannons, cannonballs, and
Mm-hmm.
I guess it was pellets, the bullets, and things like that. But I say that so for those of you that are interested in going to a site like that, for one, don't because you're destroying that that property, and those items potentially could be charged. So if you take that home to
Yes.
your family, demons like yeah, they will affect you, but more so the ones that are more vulnerable, like your children and your wife, your girlfriend. Like it's crazy, man. Like it's just nonstop.
Yeah, not only that too.
So
Demons, they actually claim territory. That's where you get. Sorry, my son's throwing his duck in the camera. Yeah, that's where demons claim.
I
Automatic,
love that kid.
automatic sound. Anyways, yeah, demons actually like claim territory a lot, and that's where you got us as Christians, we got to pray over certain areas, but that's why sometimes when you go somewhere, you get like a weird feeling, or you get
Hmm.
like a different vibe, like what, something's not right here, because whatever entities there's claim that territory, just like the
Yep.
battlefield, like those spirits have died, and they're died in aggression and stuff like that. And yeah, that's what
I guess we're
demons
stuck in
thrive
that
off of.
endless
Yeah, mhm.
cycle,
They
that loop.
thrive off of fear and all that. So,
It
anyways,
is.
yeah.
It gives them power. That's why they drain like your batteries and stuff like that because that's how they're able to manifest is by sucking and absorbing.
Yes. All the electromagnetic power and stuff like that. That's how they charge and how they get strong. So, well, so we can fast forward to part two. Uh, this was, let's see, we're in 2023. I believe this was about 2016. Yeah, I think it was 2016. Um, I went back. Um,
Yeah,
not
12 years later, I think, or
yeah,
something around there.
yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
Not with a team, nothing like that. Um, not even as a hunting adventure. Um, one of my best friends, he wanted to go. He heard me talk about it, hear stories, and he's like, "Man, let's go." I was like, "All right, let's do it." Um, and then one of my other friends, she wanted to go, so brought her along too. So it was just us three. We started off the adventure. I guess you can call it our ghost hunting adventure, just the three of us. We went out to we went out to a graveyard out in Rockville. I can't remember the name of it. Um, but heard stories, heard rumors. You can't go out there after midnight, or things will start happening. You'll see this. You can't actually enter the graveyard after midnight because it's like blah blah blah. You know the story. So let's go debunk it. So we went out there. We sat out there for a little bit before we entered. Didn't hear nothing. Didn't see nothing. Just peaceful and quiet. So we entered the graveyard and we started walking around. Um, at this point, my friend Matt, He found a fresh burial plot, like fresh dirt, still bright red, brown. It's like recent. Um, I'm trying to remember if it was a man or if it was a little boy. I'm wanting to think it was a little boy. I'm not sure. Um, he then started calling its name, like
Oh.
calling out to it. Show yourself, or you hear, blah blah blah, etc. etc. And after he hasn't experienced anything. So
Mhm.
after my first experience, I'm like, yo, like chill, like let's not go there, man. Like I'm not trying to get little Bubba up out the grave here and come see
Mhm.
us. So let's take it easy. So we were out there for probably about an hour, seen nothing, witnessed nothing, felt nothing. I'm like, all right, let's go to the battlefield. So we left and made our way to the battlefield. We parked in the church parking lot, New Vision there, and went across the street, down the hill, through the pasture and field, and then cut through the woods up to the same driving trail it was on before. Walked it down all the way back to the slaughter pen. Didn't hear anything walking through there. Didn't see anything. Didn't feel anything. Nothing. I'm like, maybe it's gonna be a bust. It's gonna be nothing. So we get back to the slaughter pen. We get right up to the tree line. I'm stopping. I'm looking because I remember there's no red light. There's no white light. There's no nothing. So I'm like, all right, again, it's probably about 1:00, 1:30 in the morning. Um, we all know when you enter the woods, there's no light. Even the light from the moon really can't break the tree lines and light anything up in there. You know how dark the woods are. So you have to use a flashlight. Okay. So give you some perspective. Like I said, it's probably entrance of the tree line all the way to the slaughter pen marker where they talk about the slaughter pen, what it is, how many people died, et cetera, et cetera. It's probably about 250 foot. Okay. The trail itself, probably maybe 2.5, 3 foot wide. At some points of the trail it gets really skinny because you walk through rocks, so it's zigzaggy, it's left, it's right, it's up, it's down. You got tree roots coming up, you got rocks sticking out, you got holes. So you need to watch where you're going. You're gonna trip, you're gonna break an ankle, you're gonna fall. You have to have a flashlight. So we walk back all the way through the trails. Didn't see nothing, didn't hear nothing, anything of that nature. We get all the way to the fence line. As soon as we get to the fence line, it opens up to a humongous field, and right in the center of that field is a solo deer that is staring right at us. So as soon as we get up, we shine the flashlights out there. This deer is staring right at us. All right. This deer locked eyes with us. He didn't move. He didn't flag his tail. We made noise. He just stood there and was staring at us. So we kind of stood there for a second, and I started talking to my buddy. I'm like, all right, man. I'm like, it's kind of weird, I was like, but I don't really see anything. He was like, so let's go. Okay. He was to my right, and my hair is already standing up. So I looked to the left to my friend at her, and as soon as I looked at her, I said, hey, let's go. Her head was tilted backwards, staring up into the trees, and her eyes were in the back of her head.
Buddy.
And I'm like, I'm not gonna say her name, but we'll call her
Her.
It.
we'll call her girl. Okay.
Hey, girl.
Hi, girl.
Oh, girl.
So I look over at her, like I said, I mean, dude, her head was just it was completely staring upwards. Her eyes were open, but all you seen were the whites of her eyes. So at this point, man, dude, I crap my pants. And like I'm pushing on her, thinking like, oh, she's joking, she's playing around, And she didn't answer. I'm like, girl, and I'm hitting her shoulder, and she just does not move at all.
Man, I would have karate chopped her in the throat. Girl,
Um,
stop talking. Bam!
so I nudge my buddy. I'm like, Matt. I'm like, look at her, and he's like, no. And he walks in front of me, and he was probably about 6 feet off to my right. Okay. Well, as soon as he walks to me, she starts making noises, like, mm, mm. As he got closer, her grunting got more ferocious and loud. She was like, mm. He would back away, she would quit. And I'm like, yo, all right. I'm like, let's go. So he takes off. He starts walking. I start walking. And she's still standing there. The deer is still standing there. She just
Huh.
stays. Her head's up, facing the deer. Deer is staying there, not moving. So I
Man,
grab her hand.
I'm wondering if that was like a skinwalker, dude.
well, too. I didn't want to say anything, but I feel like deers actually represent something. I forgot what it was, but it was something supernatural. I'm pretty sure I heard it a
Wendigo.
while
No, I'm
back.
just
I can
kidding.
do some digging. Well, no, potentially like it could have originated from some sightings like that. And also, guys, remember we brought this up before. Something Brian had mentioned. Be aware of your surroundings and your environment, because I mean it just takes a second for you to snap your ankle or something like that, and then people can't if you don't have a lot of people with you, for one, they can't protect you, and two, they can't take you away from whatever's there. So you'll be
Yeah.
fending for yourself, whether it's ghost, Bigfoot, they can all hurt you in one way or another. But things ghosts can do that those others can't is they can they can follow you. So yeah. Anyway,
So we start to leave. He takes point, and uh, he's walking. I'm probably about 6, 7 foot behind him. I got her hand, and I am pulling her. She's walking, but kind of is more or less like a I don't want to walk. Really, a really stubborn walk. Like she didn't want to leave. So I got her arm, and I'm leading her out of here. We've already discussed the terrain, okay, how it is. Um, she doesn't have a flashlight on. Um, she is still looking upwards at the trees as she's walking. So I did an experiment because I just wanted to see. I let go of her hand. I turned my flashlight off. I grabbed my buddy's hand and I followed him. And she walked out of there looking up with no light on and did not trip and fall once.
Hmm, that's
I'm following him, trying to watch his light. I'm still stumbling on things because I don't have a light directly at my feet. So I'm still slightly tripping over stuff. And she walks out of there, does not stumble, does not trip, does not fall, while, like I said, she's looking upwards, straight up at the sky.
man.
Um, so we start walking down the trail, the driving path to get out of there. She's walking next to me. He's probably about 15 foot in front of us. And again, every single time he would drop back and get anywhere near her, she would just start this gnarly moaning and growling at him. I'm like, this is not cool. I'm like, we need to get out of here. So we get off the driving trail. She's still acting the same way. Um, it took us probably about 10 minutes or so to walk out of the driving trail. In which point then she actually collapsed to the ground. So I pick her up and I carry her the rest of the way. She is not responsive. She's not answering to her name. She's breathing, but she's not answering to her name. Nothing.
Man, I'm sure you guys are panicking right now.
Yeah. So we get back to crazy. We get back to the church. Okay, we're on church property.
Yeah.
She snaps out of it and comes to and goes, "Where am I?"
Ah, you're on
I said,
holy
"What do you
ground.
mean, where are you?" She's like,
Teleported.
where am I? What happened? She has no recollection of anything. I actually talked to her the next day, and she said that all morning she threw up black stuff.
Oh, that's a
Hmm.
trip.
I wonder
She
how
had,
that is. I've heard of that, but I'm like,
so
man,
she
it's so
had,
interesting how it
so she had
had
time
like a
loss.
yeah. I'm gonna look into this black stuff because I've heard of it before, but I'm like,
Let's
where
call
does it
it black.
originate from?
Throwing up black stuff. Let's see.
You see,
Yep.
like
Going.
black tar substance or something
Yeah.
after possession or anyway. I don't know. I do find that really interesting.
I have no idea what it was. The only thing I can think of is it was some kind of demonic entity that took control of her because she was the weakest.
Hmm.
Or maybe
Yeah, you're probably on the right thing because I'm reading here. It's based on like demonic possession. When it comes to people ghost hunting or anything like that, it says that one person gets oppressed or possessed. If they go with anything when it comes to, well, they call it not an exorcism, but they call it a deliverance. You usually see the person throwing up black goo or black tar. Yeah, that's what I'm getting out of it. So basically, what I'm hearing is that she got, well, of course, because you can tell by the tall tale signs, she wasn't in control of her body, missing time. Her eyes are in the back of her head. She wasn't responsive. So her soul and her body was fighting it. And then when you guys got to the church, when you guys were standing on holy ground, boom, she snapped out of it. And then later on, that next day, she's just puking her guts out with whatever try to get inside of her. That's a trip.
yeah, have not been back since.
That's a trip.
What are you doing tonight?
Have not.
He's like, I'm never going again.
No. That was round 2. And that was enough for me on the battlefield.
Oh yeah, especially with that horse, man. God bless.
Dude.
Yes.
Yeah.
That one trips me out, bro. Like, cause I'm trying to be in your shoes at that exact moment, at that exact time, and if I felt that, like that horse breath on the back of my neck, and looking back and seeing this massive, massive horse with the big dude on top of it, whew, I pull out my pistol and start blowing it.
Yeah. No. I think I was gonna eat my hand. I just freaked out.
It's one thing to hear stories. It's one thing to
Live it.
think you see something or hear something or something off in the distance, man, and that looks like it could be, but to literally see it 2 feet over your shoulder,
Yeah.
just staring at you. Like I know what my eyes seen. That my mind was not playing tricks. My eyes was not playing tricks. Like I know what I seen. And
Not only that, I wouldn't say you had a sighting, bro. You actually had an experience.
yeah,
That's one thing I think. God bless you, Nick Valente. He broke it down for me. He's like, people who have sightings, like you're driving, all of a sudden you see a ghost on the side of the road. Like, hey, that's a sighting. But if someone actually lives through it and physically sees something right in front of them or touches them or anything like that. Yeah, bro, that's an experience. You had yourself an experience twice. You know,
Yeah.
twice.
Yeah.
Twice.
And what was
I don't
cool
care to.
though is that you weren't the only one there. You had people there with you that saw the same thing.
Yes.
You know.
That's it. Both times. So and that's something that gives you that confirmation. Like, okay, I'm not crazy, right? Like
Yeah.
like you seen the same thing, right? Like you heard
Yeah.
the same thing. So you have that validation that you didn't
Yeah.
lose your
Yeah.
mind for a little point in time. Like you
Yeah.
were still there. You were there, body, soul, and mind, and somebody else was there, just not physical nature.
Yeah.
So it kind of helps you to put at rest if you're crazy.
Oh yeah, dude. That's how I am too. If I see something like, bro, you see what I see, right? You see what I see, right?
Even even to the point we um some years later, my cousin was he was murdered in his own home, and the same group from the first adventure in the battlefield actually took a trip with my family down to Mississippi to the house where he was murdered, because it is an unsolved murder. Um, so they took a trip. They took time out of their busy life and made a trip down to Mississippi to go to his house, see what they can get. Um, it was nothing super crazy, except for the point in time to where it was me and my sister, my cousin, and uh, two of the ghost hunters on the team sat down in his bedroom, and they put a whole bunch of batteries in a circle, and they put the noise box
Mm.
in the center. I'm sure you know what a noise box is. Little white noise box.
Yeah.
It just hits and scans all of the radio frequencies out there. So you turn it on and it's nothing but
Yeah. You
because
can
it's scanning all the radio wave frequencies.
basically can hear entities talk to you. They need to talk
Yes,
to
and
you.
it's a way to communicate with them. Um, which at that point in time, the woman started asking different questions, and the only experience with that we had was it was my cousin's voice, as my other cousin, which was his brother, started talking. She was asking questions. Nothing, no answers. As soon as he started talking, my cousin who was murdered, his specific voice came through that chatterbox and said, "I love you,"
Ooh.
to my cousin. And then as he started asking more different questions, one of the questions he asked was, who else was involved? And he said, cops.
Mm.
And then at that point in time, you heard a bang on the side of his house. So that was another experience that I had with the paranormal. You know, now there's no explanation for that one. There's no explanation. If it was not his voice, okay, I could try to come up with something as to what that was that gave those answers that said that I love you. It could be anything. It could be radio wave interference or something with a telephone call or something. But the fact that it was his actual voice, that said, I love you. And then when he asked who else was involved in your murder, and he said cops, which it is a very, very small, dirty town with corrupt cops. So, again, no explanation for that one.
Yeah, and normally they have, I think it's called a spirit box. They have an app, and I think it's a newer thing, but it does the same thing. You go to these places and you just lay your phone down, turn on that app, and it'll scroll through certain things. And I've heard of uh, a weird, just weird stories. I haven't heard of the specific person's voice going through, but yeah, it scrolls through stations and things enough to make like I guess legible like conversation and stuff, so you can hear people actually talking. And some of them it's really freaking creepy. I heard one experience where it actually predicted somebody's ride on their way home that they were going to see something, and they both actually saw like a demon up in a tree with wings, and it flew off, and they almost like swerved off the road, because I think when it flew off it actually flew down toward them, and they both saw it, not just one. So I don't know, it's weird like what those boxes. I don't know. They're scary and so accurate at points, but
Yes, but knowing what I know now, because back then, um, I wasn't really involved in the word. I wasn't deep in the word, anything like that. And I just thought it was innocent games. Oh, okay, it's true, it's real, but you can go out, you communicate, and et cetera, et cetera. I wasn't aware of that they can attach to you, attach to things. I wasn't aware of that dabbling in things like that, those spirits are nothing but evil spirits. They're not
Yeah,
they're not good. They're not spiritual. They're not angels. They're not, anything that was sent down from God for you to. They're stuck. They're evil. They're all demonic.
yep.
And that's why I don't mess with anything. Like I don't go ghost hunting. I don't go to the battlefield. I don't go looking for things like that anymore because of what it can do to your life. If they attach to you, you bring them back to your house, your spouse, your children, wherever.
Yeah,
And
yeah, exactly. You actually leave that door open for them to come in, and Brian, I'm the same way, man. I don't do that anymore. I used to do it, and then until I read in in Proverbs, and then also when Solomon was talking about that, and don't like when Jesus was talking about too, and Paul, don't be you know don't be getting your information from like witches, oracles. Don't go chasing after demons and stuff like that. And just like angels, like God assigns you angels. You know, Satan assigns you demons as well as too. They watch you from when you grow up all the way till you die, and that's one thing they like to do. They like to mimic. They like to play games, and you know, once you're
yes,
dead, you're dead. That's
that's the thing is, they will take on the form of somebody trust and love to gain your trust,
it. Exactly.
to have a way for you to open a door for them to enter your life. They know if they're this scary demon, you're going to back away and you're not going to give in to allow them in. But if they come in the form of your brother, your cousin, your dad, whoever, they take on that form. Okay, come into my life, enter in my life. Like, you're my dad. I want to talk to you because you've passed away, and oh, now I have a way to talk to you, so come. But not knowing that that's not your dad. that is a demonic entity that will take control of your life as soon as you open that door and let them in. So, my advice to anybody, don't go searching. Just don't. Listen to stories, listen to people's stories. Take that into consideration. Understand that it's real, it's out there, and watch movies about it. Documentaries about it. If you're really into it, don't go do it physically your own self, because if you don't know what you're doing, prime example of girl, it can go bad really quick.
I just remembered many years ago. There was a really, really, really good friend of mine. Um, in fact, he's my best friend back in high school. He and his wife now. Well, then, and he ended up dying under mysterious circumstances, and it was crazy because he has two beautiful girls, and I am the godfather, and it stinks like when that happens. He and I, like, we were so alike. So every time I would be around them, they would just I would just remind them so much of their dad. And when I had to go, it was just very, very difficult, just to leave them sometimes. But anyway, like, his parents, um, his older sister went to, like, oh crap, I just blanked out on what they're called, a fortune teller and all that stuff, and they kind of forgot about me as a family friend because after high school I just moved away. And then she said, no, there's going to be, this guy's showing up, and this is his name. And then when I went to the funeral, um, they still forgot who I was, but they remembered my face, and they found out I was the guy whose name she mentioned. And they asked if I had a message or anything, and I was confused. I'm like, no, but I'm here. And I would just send you, but that, a lot of it, his sister, man, she started putting these dark, honestly, like, these dark forces to work, causing his parents to actually live in a constant cycle of remorse and stuff, to where now, like, they invited, I really believe it's like demonic influences in their house, assuming that it's their son who passed away. And and it's just really bad. Like, his wife, like, the kids and stuff can't go over there anymore, um, because it's just so toxic and difficult. And I mean that with love. So if you guys are listening to this, like, um, don't live in that. Like, once we're dead, we're dead. And and yeah, just he is in a much better place now. Because honestly, like, I wouldn't really want to roam the earth, if that was up to me. Um, but yeah, I don't know. It's just crazy what that can do for people. Like, and the same thing in a way, like, happened to a girl I went to high school with. She was in my art class. She ended up committing suicide, and her parents would still see her and feel her and hear her around the house. She'll be opening cabinets, playing with lights. They hear voices, see silhouettes and stuff. And I don't know. It's just I think that they want that control over you to keep you in that constant state of hurt, anxiety, stress, just the fear of the unknown, fear of death, fear of losing another loved one. So it's wild, man. That little bit, what it can do to people.
Yeah. All right, well, let's move on from the ghost to the Bigfoot.
This is fun.
This is
Yeah,
juicy
this
right
is
here.
fun.
This is
Can't wait to talk
juicy.
about the thunderstorm.
The levitation.
Oh man.
Let's do this.
Well, I guess we'll talk about the. I mean, it was a fun drive. Did we take your truck?
Yeah.
Yeah,
I
we
think
did.
so. We all took Brian's truck.
Yeah, we took Brian's truck. Yeah.
Everyone, he has the most manly vehicle out of any of us here.
Yeah.
I mean, I even get a deeper voice just when I sit in that truck. It's the coolest thing. I mean, before that, I didn't have this deep voice. I'm like, oh hey, sound like Pinocchio. Uh, but no, it was a fun little trip up to Mammoth Cave, Kentucky. If you guys aren't familiar with it, yeah, there are a lot of sightings. And here recently, after talking to Nick, like, the dogmen are coming. They're kind of migrating down this way because there's so much construction and stuff going on around the state. So, they're woodlands and stuff. it's just depleting. So we have a lot of woods down here. But that's just a thought. But anyway, yeah, we went out there to kind of relive some past experiences we had going on another Sasquatch hunt. And dude, uh, yeah. Anyway, so we're at the site. As soon as we get there, we start putting the firewood in.
All right, why? Stop. You're jumping. Brian, start from the beginning, bro.
I get excited and choked up. Almost did pass out.
All right, Brian, go ahead.
Oh, I'm trying to remember the very, very beginning of that trip.
Well, we took a ferry. Remember, we had to take the truck,
Oh.
the truck ferry across, and it didn't. It opens up at 7 in the morning, then it closes down at 7 at night. So we have like this 12-hour gap. If something happens, they can't get to us.
Yeah.
We're on like this mountain island. Yeah, that was
Yeah,
cool.
because we're on the island. We were the only ones on that island. Yes. Yeah. I remember that because as soon as we got on the island, we drove around for a bit and realized there were no other cars anywhere on that campsite of the island.
Yeah, that was a bad sign already.
No, that's a great sign. That means
Oh yeah, I
we
know what that means.
knew nobody was going to be anywhere around there.
Oh yeah.
You know. So yeah, so we go and we set up. I think we set up camp first, right? Before we went and grabbed some firewood, or
Mm-hmm.
did we just drop the stuff off and then went looking for wood?
No, I think we set up, then we went to go look for firewood.
Either way, so we're on the trail, the gravel drive. Now I remember that, and I was really starting to question how deep we're going to be able to go because it started to get pretty gnarly, man. Driving in the woods, like I think this next time we're gonna have to take the new truck that I'm in versus the old truck. New truck will be able to get around better. But yeah, I remember because you pointed out off to the right, you were like, "Look, there's a structure."
Yeah.
And I remember looking over, and I remember telling you, I was like, "Man, ain't no Bigfoot Sasquatch build that." Like some of these Amish people around here put
Oh
these
yeah.
put these tree limbs up. Which fast forward into my own research that I'd done, um, that was a built structure by a Squatch because the size of the limbs, they weren't little sapling trees. I mean, there were some pretty big honkers, man, that were stacked up in that formation to the exact T of what they build.
Yeah.
Um,
What was it shaped like?
I'm trying to remember exactly. They're in a standing up in a cross pattern.
Mm-hmm.
Kind of like bowed over. It's
Yeah,
kind of like a, I'll say almost kind of like a boob.
yeah. Like it was. I don't know. It was
Like a
weird.
dome.
Like I don't want to say like a teepee tent type of thing, but it was. I don't know, man. It was weird. It was weird to me. Which again, still skeptical. Anybody could have made that, whatever. So yeah, we spent probably about 2 hours driving around the middle of nowhere. Can't really figure out where we were at, and then pop out on the road with a whole bunch of these Amish kids standing by the side waving to us.
I remember.
I do remember that.
We ended up in the
Um,
back of an Amish community. We came in through the back way. We weren't even supposed to go that route.
no,
I think it was, yeah. I don't know. The route we took, I didn't know it was supposed to take that long. It was like 45 minutes, and then there
Yeah.
were just more
And then
woods, and then just this little like the movie the movie The Village, where they're isolated from the world, and I don't know. It was I didn't know what was going to happen. I'm
It
pretty
was
sure they had
funny.
like shovels and pitchforks, like the I don't know, just doing their thing, and we just happened to show up right when they were doing this stuff, but they held them up. Just I don't know, we just surprised them. Like it was
Yeah, they
a
look pretty
fun
pissed.
experience. Like, and I think I was sitting in the back of the bed,
Yeah,
like,
and then Paul was doing his sheep cry.
bah!
Oh, Paul.
Oh, Paul, I can't wait for a thunderstorm, Paul. Until we get to that part.
Yeah, do you guys remember? Like, also we got that firewood. So later on that night we ate, and then we decided just to let's just go because we heard some tree knocks and stuff. And we just started walking, and then as we were walking, I was putting up tape, like that fluorescent tape.
Yeah, what time
And
was it at this point?
it was like at 1 in the morning.
Yeah, it was pretty
Yeah.
early. I
I
mean,
was
what
put
else would you do when you're hiking? Really? I mean,
I was
camping.
putting up like fluorescent tape about every 20 foot. That way, when you turn back around, you can see the trail going back to the campsite, right? Remember, we
Mhm.
went on for a couple miles in, and the next thing we decided to chill out to go back, and the tape was gone.
And at this time,
Yeah.
like it was dry, like it wasn't raining or
Mm-mm.
anything yet.
Yeah. Then thank God, Paul. I told him to put a ping on our campsite. That way we can get back in case
Yeah,
anything happens. Yeah, that was a trip.
because if that would not have happened, there's no telling where we would have ended up.
Yeah.
Because, like you said, all the markers were just, I don't know, man.
I
You
know.
said just gone.
Yeah.
Like, it's like somebody was covering the trail up, the way
Yep.
out.
Yep.
I remember on the
Um,
way back, yeah, it started raining, and then we started having difficult like issues with the with our GPS. Um, Finding the way back, like the ping would seem to like move around, and I don't even think you needed a GPS, like you didn't need Wi-Fi or anything because it was already in the phone.
yeah, yeah, but we see we finally made our way back. I remember this too. Because I think I was on point as soon as we got back to the camp. I was the first one out of the camp, but I remember as soon as we get out to the camp and we got up to the tents, and I looked to my left. All of a sudden, so I looked back on you, and I was like, "Eyes, eyes," and you were just,
Yeah.
and
Right. Right. Yep. Rifles up, frontal assault. Yeah.
yep, and dude, it was what 30 deer.
Yeah. It was a trip though, because you said eyes, eyes, and I brought up my light of my rifle. You seen these eyes poke over the tent and they just duck back down. I was like, oh hell no. So you and Paul went all frontal assault, and old soldier boy Paul started walking like a nutcracker. I take off to the
Straight
right to
legged.
try to I take off to the right to try to flank him, and Brian's just going up there like a freaking marine, going up there ready to lay some hate. And then we finally get up to the target, and I'm like, hold on, guys, it's just deer, it's just deer. And there was so many deer right there.
False alarm, false alarm. But yeah, man. So yeah, it wasn't too long after we got back to camp. We were hanging out, and I remember it was me and you. Uh, we were probably what, about 30 foot from the campsite, just standing out talking.
Yeah.
And then it was my left, your right, off in the tree line, just a distinct wood knock, just
Yep.
a solo loud wood knock.
Yeah.
And because I remember as soon as that happened, dude, I looked straight to the tree line. Then I looked back at you with just these golf ball sized eyeballs. I'm like, yo, you're like, it's a knock. Let's go.
Yeah.
I remember we took off, and I think both Zook and Paul like jumped up and was like, "What was that?"
Yeah. Oh, I forgot too. Yeah, like my brother Logan was there too.
He was.
Yeah, that was his first time going. Yeah,
Was this app that like did you sit around the fire after, and then we start telling stories, or was this before?
I can't remember, but all I remember is that because we were wearing comms radios. You guys had a radio, I had a radio, and we told you guys me and Brian are gonna go check it out. And you guys were like, yeah, be careful, we heard it too.
No. You guys are doing great. More support.
Just leave 2 by the campsite and leave 2 to go in. Okay. Yeah, but I remember we approached the tree line and we were lights on, and I mean it was dense, thick woods, man. Just dense, thick, and which the next day, after kind of looking around, realized that that tree line only went for probably about 30 foot, and then it dropped straight into a 300-foot ravine,
Oh,
Yeah,
a 400-foot ravine. I mean, to the point to where you would need a rope and to get up out of there. Like you couldn't just walk up out of that thing.
yeah,
And we were the only ones in that campsite, so there was absolutely no rhyme or reason why any person would be down over there at 3 o'clock in the morning. None. So it was the only explanation was it was a legitimate knock.
yeah, yeah. There
and
was that,
then
and there
do
was
what?
the lightning.
Well, hold on. I want to talk about the camp. What was whenever you had the dream around the campfire? Was that before the lightning, or was that after, like the next day?
Who me? That was
Mhm.
before.
Yeah, let's reel
You
them
want
in
to
on
talk
that
about
beautiful
that a
beam
little bit?
footage. Yeah, and then
All
we'll
right,
go into the thunderstorm, man, because I can't
all
wait to
right,
share my story. I want to hear Brian's and then mine.
all right. So basically, me and Brian came back, and then we all started eating and chilling out and just talking. Well, I got my AR-15 on me, just chilling out, and well, I guess I go to sleep, and I'm dreaming I'm in the exact same spot we're camping at. I see myself, and I hear running through the woods like they're just bulldozers crashing through the woods, right? And then it's getting closer and closer, and then a twig breaks. Well, when the twig breaks, I wake up. I throw my rifle up. I'm like, "Come on, bring it!" And everyone's at the camp for like, "What the heck are you doing?"
Oh God! Yeah, the crackling of the fire, folks.
Yeah, it's the crackling of the fire is what happened. I thought it was a twig breaking in my dream. That was Sasquatch coming to eat us.
And
Uh,
two, I want to add, like, man, guys, around the time we went, like, it was cold. At least to me, it was pretty freaking cold, and especially at night.
it was
And
like
then
40,
Medina,
35 degrees.
Drewski, and Logan, man, they were sweating in their tent, and we had a big old like we had a mansion of a tent. And thank you, Brian, for the tent, like, because I
Yes.
didn't have one. But I don't know, it was just crazy. We had so much space, and it was so cold, and they were sweating because they were so hot in their tent.
Well, the reason why is because I made a makeshift heater. I knew it was going to be
What, one of
cold.
the penny stoves? Is that what it's
Yeah,
called?
yeah,
Okay. Yeah, it's literally like a soda can, rubbing alcohol, and a penny.
that's it.
Something, and then we couldn't even warm up with our body heat.
Yeah.
Trust me, we tried it. No, I was kidding. But man, dude, thankfully I had a really nice sleeping bag, but it was one of those mummy ones, so I felt trapped. So I mean, a Sasquatch just would have picked me up like a Happy Meal, just took me off in the woods.
Like a
So I'm
burrito.
Like a
yeah, I was
burrito.
like,
Yeah.
let's roll them up backwards. Ugh. Anyway, thunderstorm. Okay, so it was shortly after that. Like, I know that we all, we settled down and we went to the tent, and then uh, I heard thunder out in the distance,
Hmm.
and then I'm like, crap, it's gonna rain, and then I saw like a really bright blast of light, and that's when I knew. And I know at this point it's probably like, man, I don't know, it was pretty early in the morning because I think was it the same night that we came back from the hike, or was this
It
like
was.
one of the other?
It was the same night.
So I guess it was probably like around 3, maybe 2:30 or.
Mm-hmm.
Let's
Next
see.
time, remember, yeah, 'cause we got back and then we got ready for bed. Maybe, yeah, because it
Yeah,
was
and then
raining.
I just woke up and I'm like, oh man, there's gonna be a loud crash, and then all of a sudden, yeah, there was a, like I said, a pouring down rain, and then it went boom, like all of a sudden, and
Like
then
a bomb.
yeah, then that's when I looked up and I heard Paul's like, what the fuck, like, and I mean he got it was the cool because I was already awake, so I just happened to be looking over in his general direction, and I mean he literally levitated like 3 or 4 feet off, well not 4, at least 2.5 feet, like he was crazy how high he bounced off the ground,
Yeah.
and and then Brian, I think you were like, ah, like, and then me, I'm like, oh god, like,
And what
man,
was funny was, I was in a separate tent and I was already up. I was kind of like drinking coffee in the tent and stuff. And Logan was still asleep, and I was hearing the rain come down. And I was like, "Oh, here it comes!" And I saw that lightning hit, goof. And I was like, "Oh crap! Here comes the boom, boom!" And then all I hear is what Zook said across the way in the other tent. What the fuck? Oh, that was funny. And then Logan woke up freaking out. What's going on? I'm like, it's all right, buddy. Just go back to bed.
shh, go to sleep.
Go to sleep. The Sasquatches are getting him. If we be quiet, they'll leave us alone.
Yeah.
It's good times. So after that, we basically wrapped it up. And tell us about what happened with that smoke, Brian.
You know, smoke in the eyeballs is not a friendly experience.
No, sir.
It just happens. You don't put smoke in a man's eyes, and you don't take his scrambled eggs away from him.
Oh yeah, another
I
story.
forgot about that. That's funny.
When a man's been on an adventure and he's hungry, he's raging for some protein, and you can't put it in front of him and then take it away.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Because I mean, they are good eggs.
Mm-hmm.
They don't need to be wasted. And what about the smoke? Like, what was your reaction?
It just kept
It
following me
made the trip. It was so
where,
funny.
no matter where I went, it kept following me, and it made me mad. You know, an inanimate object can make you so angry sometimes. What can you do?
Yep. Not a dang thing. Right.
Well, yeah, I know that we'll need to wrap it up because I think we have to. We're actually going to meet up soon.
Want to help us out, Brian? We'll talk about it after.
Yeah.
All right. Well, Brian, man, I just want to say thanks for coming on, brother. Sharing your experiences. Those two ghost stories, man. Jeez,
Yeah.
yeah, that'll definitely get some people thinking. Like, you sure you want to go out there and really check out what's going on?
Just kidding.
Yeah.
But yeah, man, love you, and yeah,
Love you, bro.
if you got any, I'm okay. There's no right or wrong answer to this. I ask everybody this. I kind of stole this from Sasquatch Chronicles. Sorry, I love you. What do you think Bigfoot is, man?
Oh. Mm. I really don't even know, man. To
It's
be
all good.
honest,
It's all good. Like I
huh?
said, there ain't no. Like I said, there ain't no right or wrong answer to this.
I mean, it. Yeah, if I ever find one day and meet him, I'm gonna ask him,
There you go.
what are you exactly? I don't know. Is it an animal? Is it a man? Is it a creature? Is it, half breed? Like I really, you hear the stories, you see the stories, so I mean, that's really my only opinion. I know he's a massive hairy creature, um but I've also listened to podcasts about, um he's a grown man now, but as a child, he became friends with a squatch.
Yeah.
He watched him grow up from an infant baby all the way until he was, 9, 10 years old when he had his first encounter, all the way up until he was 17, 18, 19 years old. He would have interactions with his squatch, and no harm was done. He said that this squatch looked at him like a family member because he's watched him grown up. There was no threat there. But then you hear stories about them terrorizing camps and people and doing all these horrible things.
Yeah.
So, I mean, what's their background?
Yeah.
Or how can you hear one story about, like, he grew up with it and it was a nice creature and interactions and stuff like that, and then you hear another one where, he tore into our camp and ripped my friend's head off and ran away with it. Like, what's the difference? How is there a difference? So,
Yeah. Who knows, man? Yeah, I got you. Check on that. Z, you got anything?
Like maybe it goes into parenting. I don't know.
I guess when
None
the
of it.
dad's
Well,
not there.
I believe that they're part. They're part of the Nephilim, like a hybrid of
Very
sorts.
cool.
But there are like one of these days we're going to interview. Like I know that we know the people, but they'll have connections and can get us into contact with these scientists. Probably not the scientists, but people who know the scientists, kind of like a friend of a friend. Um, to who do all this gene manipulation and creating like these human hybrids. But um, uh, the Dogman and well, I know that there's just many other. There's so many different cryptids. So I know a lot of this dates way further back than modern times. But I think in modern times there were just with science and technology and the biblical, like the secret sciences and stuff, what the fallen angels came down and shared with humanity, like the select few. Now what they were able to do back then, um I'd say now there are more people that are easily open to that because they don't, they're like, well, let's just see what will happen. They're like, no, this stuff will actually like affect you. I do remember hearing or reading about, I don't know if I told you this one, but it was a cat human hybrid that they created. Like it was an
Yeah.
advertised person, but like they couldn't control it, and it like incredibly intelligent and crazy fast and had super strength, like crazy. But yeah, they sent a lot of people in to kill it, but I don't know if anybody survived. It was a pretty big team. So I'm like, well, I think that's out west though, so we're good at least for right now. But they ended that. What do you call it? They stopped that experimentation, creating that kind of half breed. So thankfully, but who knows? Anyway, guys, thanks for tuning back in. uh, oh yeah, let me get you. So, what are your thoughts?
Oh, I'll talk about that later.
Perfect.
Anyways, yeah, my thoughts on that. I don't know, man. I still don't know. Could be the Nephilim. Could just be a species, that's a God created. I don't know. It could be a species the government tammed it up. I have no idea. Could be a lost. It could be like the missing link. I don't know. The only way I'm able to figure it out is if I catch one, I could physically talk to it, or if God Himself could just let me know what they are. That'd
Mhm.
definitely be one question I would ask though when I die. God is like, Lord, what the heck are Bigfoot?
Yeah.
What are all these
Many
cryptids like?
questions.
Stuff like that. Whatever. But yeah, I don't know. I just don't know.
Shoot. Well, all right, guys. Thanks for tuning back in, and until next time.
Hey Brian, real quick,
Yep.
where can people find you at if they got any questions or anything like that? They want to give you a shout out.
They can look up my Instagram. It's Podunk Podunk 379.
Podunk
Podunk
379.
379.
And we will link that in the show notes as well.
All right, guys, you heard it. If you got any questions or anything like that, hit up Brian.
Yep.
Hit us
Hit
up.
me up. I travel all around, all throughout the states, anywhere, West Coast, Northwest, East Coast. So if anybody's listening that does any kind of hunts or adventures, hey, if I'm in your area, be more than happy to come tag along. Go
Yep, hit
go
him
see
up.
different areas and experience different things in different parts of the country.
We
Yeah,
can
hit
have
him
you
up,
on
man.
for like around 2, 3, 4, 5. Like,
Yeah, we'll
yeah,
have a we'll call it a touch base with Brian.
there we go.
Touch base with
You
Brian.
might even have your own podcast going at that.
I know. All right, guys, we appreciate you. Stay safe and remember, like in Ephesians, it talks about we're not wrestling against flesh and blood, but against principalities and rulers of this age. So be smart, guys. Be safe and have a good week.
Yeah, guys, you heard it here first.